Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Max Tech Motorsports. As you guys can see, we're back with the GTI. So we're going to be continuing on with our build for the track, and today we're going to be doing some fuel modifications to help out with our tune. So yeah, in a couple days we're going to be heading down to Dominate Performance, which is a very, very highly respected shop here in the Toronto area, to get our stage 2. So we're doing a stage 2 tune with a no lift shift application. Yeah, should bump the horsepower and the torque up on the 1.8, and should be pretty fun to drive. So yeah, what we're going to be doing here is changing the fuel pump. So if you guys look in the back here, obviously we haven't got to that part yet, but the fuel pump's located just underneath the passenger rear seat here. So I'm going to have to take that off. And then again, we're also going to be doing the injectors. So we got some new injectors we're going to be doing. And then I'll show you guys some spark plugs. We already did them, but I'll show you guys kind of what you're aiming to kind of get, just to kind of maximize your tune. But yeah, can't wait to do it. So let's get out of here. All right, guys. So now that we're in the car here, we're going to be getting this fuel pump out, but let me show you guys what we're going to be installing. So first and foremost, this is just a chamois. Don't need this right now. It's just sitting in here. Fire extinguisher. Doesn't look like much, guys, but this thing is absolutely amazing. That's for sure. It's maybe small, but it definitely is mighty. So probably a good idea to have one kicking around. Now, I wouldn't kind of use one of these. I'd use more of your traditional ones, but just in case you guys have one here. And then make sure you guys go out. You're going to get some rags. I'm going to need, I think, a flathead screwdriver, as well as probably a little bit of pliers, some hose clamps, all that jazz. But as far as what we're going to be putting on to help with our fuel, so we have these guys right here. So these are our Bosch injectors. Let me just grab them out. So there we go. So these are Bosch, which seem to be the most popular kind of method as far as getting some good injectors in. And these are 630cc, so I probably could have gone away with like 550s, but in case maybe in the future if I go with like a bigger turbo, or even if I just upgrade to a KO4, these should be more than plenty for what I need. As you guys can see, they're brand new from Deatschwerks, as always. And then when you get them, guys, you're gonna have to make sure that you get these adapters, so you'll get a better view of them when I put them on the actual injector here. But yeah, we got some adapters here. This is so that we can run these injectors right there with the harness from the MK4 or Mark IV, since everyone seems to complain about the way I say it here. But yeah, so our Mark IV adapters from the chassis harness, or the electrical harness for the injectors, and then we have our injector here, 630cc from Bosch. So I'm just gonna put this into place here, that way no dust gets into it. So that's first and foremost of what you're definitely gonna want when doing a tune, especially if you're gonna be doing some bigger power. Air fuel, that's the big thing for sure. Goes with pretty much any application, not necessarily just in the Volkswagen world here, but pretty much any application. And then now, because we're going to be upping the CC on our injectors, we went out and got ourselves a new pump. So I showed you guys this stuff, I think, on a winter video. But this is the, is that Deatschwerks? Deatschwerks? Not Deutsche, but yeah, DW, which is called D-dubs, baby. But yeah, so here we go. Oops, brand new drop-in pump, which I'm pretty pumped out. Are pretty pumped to use, that is for sure. I forgot the liters per hour on this thing. I think it's like a 265, which is pretty good. Usually you guys upgrade to like a Walbro 255, or some people do like an Aeromotive 1000 for bigger applications and whatnot. But yeah, so this is just a drop-in pump. So what that means is that when I take the stock pump out of there, I should be able to take the actual unit itself from the whole plastic assembly with the wiring, the hoses, and the kind of mini sump that's attached to it. This will fit right into there, which is pretty cool. I've had experiences in the past where I've upgraded fuel pumps and ended up with external pumps and sump tanks, and it's really good and easy to get to. It's just kind of a pain, and it's always nice to keep everything kind of hidden inside the car. So again, guys, yep, we have our injectors, we have the adapters for the right harness, and then we have a pump. That is pretty much the main thing of what you're going to want to do when doing your tune. Obviously, any supporting mods that you can do to help out or kind of make some flexibility for the tuner always helps. As far as the 1.8 turbo here, you guys know we're running the catless, or not catless, but the 3-inch downpipe with the race cat. We have some mods to the intake system as far as the turbo inlet pipe, emissions delete, all that stuff. It definitely helps out for sure. And make sure when you guys are looking into doing your tune that you look up and research as much as possible how much of supporting mods you're going to have to be able to do. If you want a lot more power, 400 horsepower, you might be looking at a front mount intercooler, for example. So just make sure you guys take a look at all that stuff. That goes for pretty much cars across the board. And yeah, another thing too, so we have some colder plugs as they're said, I guess. You guys can see, there you go. So those are the step colder plugs for our 1.8 turbo here. And again, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about how the plugs are colder. I guess they have a bit of a different spark point, and I think maybe the gap's a little different too as well. But again, just talking to the tuner, it's always good to have some parts kicking around just in case. Now, I did install these earlier in the year when we did the valve cover gasket and all that stuff. We changed them up, so I just picked up a second set just in case one fails. It shouldn't, but you never know. To be safe, guys, pick up this, and then you can go out and get some like coil packs, stuff like that. And then another big thing for sure that I would highly suggest when you guys are going to do the pump and your tune and all that stuff is, depending on what type of fuel you want to run. Up here in Canada, I know, well, at least in this area, the Toronto area, 94 is pretty commercially available to us through Petro-Canada or Sunoco, as it used to be. We don't have any really Sunoco stations kicking around, but 94, I'm sure there's some areas around here too that I think you can get like E85. There's a lot of 93 around here, and obviously you can go to like local racetracks and stuff, but just because of the class I'm running in, it requires to have some commercially available fuel, so we're going to be kicking it with the 94. But again, guys, make sure before you take the car to get tuned and you have everything installed, ready to go, I would highly suggest fueling up that tank with some fresh fluid, making sure you have your proper octane. That way you can pull as much timing and all that stuff out of the engine and do whatever you got to do without the risk of detonation, which is a big thing. So yeah, I know it's a lot that I'm saying right now, and a lot of it's coming out fast, but I'm really excited to do this. So yeah, let's get to it. I'm going to move this seat up, and then we're going to hop in the back seat here, and we're going to remove the bottom part of the rear seat, and then that will give us access to our fuel door and our cover, and we'll be able to yeah, start getting that off. So just taking off the bottom part of the seat here. Again, guys, should always say this too, I pretty much do it on all my videos, I forget at the beginning, but make sure your battery's disconnected. And it would help too as well if you kind of open up your filler tube for your fuel tank. That way you relieve any pressure. Now the GTI here hasn't ran in over a week and a bit, so I don't think there's too much pressure in the lines, but you can also pull your fuel fuse, which will give you the opportunity to, if you try to turn the car over, you can relieve a lot of pressure. Just be sure that you don't start vapor locking everything, because then it makes it a huge pain in the ass. But yeah, make sure you guys disconnect the battery before doing anything. But as far as that goes, again, removing the bottom seat here, got this little lever, pretty easy, guys. Just pull that, and then you guys see we have our floor. So just the floor, but you can see a little cutout right here inside. There you go, there's your trap door or your fuel door. This is so nice, man. For those F-body guys that are watching this for whatever reason, maybe it's late on a Saturday night, you guys know how hard it is to change F-body fuel pumps with all the humps and everything. It's a huge pain in the ass, but this is so nice and so easy to get at, and makes it a lot more fun to do for sure. But again, you're just going to move this, and then you can see we have 3 bolts here, or screws, whatever, and they're with the Phillips, so make sure you grab your Phillips screwdriver. And then yeah, well, that's definitely a lot better right there. I ended up just taking the seat right out. Even for a little guy like me, it is a little tight. Probably a lot easier on like a Jetta or a 4-door for sure, but the 2-door definitely tight. But anyways, guys, continue on with the fuel pump swapperoo. So again, we got our little plate here, and just using our Phillips. Again, guys, as we always do here, keep everything in a safe place. So keep everything on the side somewhere that, 1, it's not going to fall into your fuel tank, which is the big deal, and 2, you're not going to lose it. Again, this is one of the rare things on the car. It's actually really clean and not rusted out, so it's nice to have some fresh, clean bolts here. We're just taking off the last one here. We got the gloves on today again. The mitts, I should put like Bauer or CCM on these things and make it look like some hockey mitts, but yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go. And then again, so flathead screwdriver now. We're just gonna kind of pry this off. Pretty easy, guys. There you go. So pops right out. Don't lose this. You can always use this as a shield so that nothing gets into your fuel tank. So here, guys, you guys can see our fuel pump, and then yeah, we have our lines. So if you rub some of the crap off, you can see one is blue and one is black. And if you look on the actual fuel pump itself too as well, there's some tiny arrows which will determine on what is what. So the black one here is our supply line, which will be coming straight from the pump, and then our blue is our return line. So again, guys, the color coded is awesome, but you also have the arrows to help you. And if it does help you in this case too, just remember that the blue one is closer to the front of the car, which helps. So yeah, yeah, we gotta get our little power clip here off. So you're gonna take your screwdriver or whatever, your fingers here, and just kind of pry it so that you can get the connection off, and then just keep it out of the way. Again, guys, you want to make sure that nothing's gonna fall into the tank at the same time. So with the wire out of the way, you guys can see it kind of. I tucked it underneath the carpet here. Just make sure it doesn't fly back and get in the way. We're gonna remove our fuel lines now. Again, guys, just be careful that there might be some fuel still in here, so have some like rags ready, and again, have your fire extinguisher. Make sure your battery is disconnected, and make sure one of your buddies isn't vaping around you. So definitely helps. But yeah, so with these things right here, you guys can kind of see there's like a little lip right here on the front of our lines. We're going to push those in, and then that will allow us to release the fuel lines. So yeah, I'll try to do this with the camera the best I can and show you. So let's see how it goes. So I just pressed with the screwdriver right here and pushed in on that little tab. And then just be careful, guys. I mean, it'll come right off. As you guys can see, the return line doesn't have any fuel in it, but I can already smell the fumes. And then you're going to want to get your lines out of the way as we go here. Now, just be careful with the supply line, because the odds are there's going to be some fuel sitting in it. With that, where it has become vapor locked on me, which, oh, it's going to be a huge pain in the ass to get off, but we're going to take it easy. We'll see how it goes. Oh, there you go. So with the pressure relief from the actual supply line, whew, you can smell the fumes now. But yeah, so when we released the return line first, it actually created some pressure to come off and out of the tank right here, which then allowed my supply line to actually come off fairly easy there. And then as you guys can see, oh yeah, just a little bit. There we go. So not much actually, eh? That's actually pretty good for what I was expecting. I was expecting it to kind of fill this whole thing up, but moving on here, guys. Again, just make sure that you keep these guys out of the way. Keep in mind that they're like kind of like I forgot the actual name of them. I don't know if they're like a nylon or something, but yeah, just be careful, guys. You don't want to crack the plastic as well as the plastic on your ports from your tank. Okay, so now we got those out of the way the best we can. Obviously, you guys can see we got the ring. So the ring here is for locking our fuel pump into place. And then if you guys take a look, you can see a little arrow. So that's kind of like an alignment of how the fuel pump has to sit in, as well as you can see the little arrows a little bit better for our actual ports. So what I'm going to do actually, so I got everything marked up nice, is I'm actually going to go and grab myself a little paint marker, and then I'm going to put a little dash on the metal here on the part of the body to line up with this arrow, so that when I do put the pump back in, at least I have a general idea of where it all is. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. Couldn't find myself a paint marker, so we got the Sharpie baby. But again, so I'm gonna find the little arrow that's on this fuel pump, put a little line there, and then just to be safe, I will have this as my supply, oops, and then this one as my return. Again, this stuff's gonna be covered by carpet anyways, but yeah, so there's our arrow for our top one for the alignment, and then we have our supply and return, both where the arrows go. You guys don't have to do this stuff, but it definitely does help to I'm just gonna fix this one just a wee bit. It definitely does help on getting everything back into place the way that it was from the factory. So now, again, moving on to our little ring. So flathead screwdriver, as you guys can see right here, this thing's gonna be pretty damn tight. So make sure you guys, you wanna hit it with some force, but you also don't want to start snapping the ring and stuff like that. So just be careful when you guys are doing this, and keep in mind when you put this back on that this thing has to be airtight to fuel pump. You can't have any air or unexpected air going in there that you don't need. It's going to make your engine run like complete ass. So make sure you guys just be careful with the ring as far as taking it off and putting it back on. Okay, so we're getting there. I have my little rubber hammer actually. This thing is very tight on, but again, guys, you don't want to reef on it. You just, it's kind of hard to explain, but you just kind of know when you or how hard you have to hit it or whatever. So just be careful. And again, you can kind of see it's starting to go just a wee bit, and as you're going to hit it, just be careful. You don't want, well, I shouldn't say you don't want, but it's inevitable, it's going to happen, but there's some fluid coming up, so just be careful, guys, when you're doing that. But again, I'm just going to continue trying to get the ring. Once the seal starts to go, we should be able to do it by hand. There we go. Much better. Oh. It's a lot easier. Nice. Again, guys, just be careful because you have your lines here, but it's kind of hard. How you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to like spin it and then kind of maneuver the ring up like on its side, so like this way, and then you can pull it out, so you can kind of put these kind of through the ring, and then once you get the ring out, and then that should give you a little bit more room, a little more leeway on where you're going to put these guys to pull the actual unit out. So just like that, which allows, careful, guys. So here comes the ring now, right there. And again, just be careful if you have any spillage on it, maybe put it outside so it doesn't smell as much and leak all over your car. Okay, now we're ready to pull the pump out. So you guys can see here, we got the lines on each side. Again, guys, be very careful when you pull this out. There's going to be a bunch of fuel that's going to be sitting in this like little reservoir type of thing. So make sure when you pull it out, you let that stuff kind of drain out. That way you don't get fuel all over the place. And then you got to be very careful with your fuel level sending unit. So kind of like the little float, you'll see it, guys, when the pump starts to come out. So just be careful you don't reef on that. That way you don't bend it and cause any damage to it. But let's slowly take this puppy out here. As you guys can see. So once we get past the ring here with the seal, we should be able to let it drain. Oh, it smells magical in here right now. It's nice and easy, guys. Whoa, a little bit of a spray. A bit more. Just a wee bit more. Watch your eyes. So you guys can see this little portion right here. Sorry, I don't mean the middle finger, but this portion right here, that is the little reservoir that is currently full fuel. So we're slowly gonna come up, and then you should be able to hear right now the fuel level float, which is right there. So let me just work on, I'm gonna get the camera away from you right now. That way it doesn't get soaked in fuel, but let me just work on getting this out. So here we go. Just got the stuff draining out a bit. You guys can see, again, all that fuel is sitting in there, which we're gonna be taking this off to change our fuel pump. You can see the top of the pump right there with all the wiring connections as well as the hoses. So just be careful. So there's the pump. Sent outside. I would recommend doing it on the driveway. That old stuff there is not fuel, but you can tell that I've definitely spilled some stuff there before. And then just because I had a little bit of spillage on the ring here, I just put this kind of rag here, or this paper towel, to kind of just soak it up. And then what I'm going to do, again guys, just so no like crap gets in there, is I'm just going to put my little cover over top right there, and just kind of secure it, not like crazy, but just so I don't lose the bolts or the screws in this case. So now we're going to move on to the pump itself. Again, you guys can see everything that's going on here. We have our float, so there's our little float unit, and then we have these T20 kind of bolts here, screws that have to come off, that will allow us to separate that whole contraption from the actual kind of reserve tank here. Now be careful guys, there's still a fair bit of fuel in there, so just be very careful you don't spill it all over the place. But let's work on getting that. You're going to want to pry these little plastic pieces off, but just be careful because it is plastic and you don't want them to break. Okay, so the T20 again guys, shouldn't need too much. Careful on this one up here, just because as the two wires for your what's it called again, your fuel level gauge, you can kind of take them off this little, there's like a little gap in here. There we go. So you guys can see now the separation between the float for the fuel level sending unit and then our actual pump, which is right in there. So now what we're going to do is get this little, kind of hard to do, so there we go. We're going to get this cover off with these clips. Should be 3 of them all the way around. Again guys, be careful, it's all plastic. That will allow us to take this whole unit off, which will leave us just the pump and then our little reservoir there. And then be careful with all the fluid or fuel, sorry, that's still in here. So now that we got everything kind of loosened up there guys, again, don't forget your spade connectors here. So you have a black one and a yellow one. Those are obviously for the power to your fuel pump, and you can kind of see they're 2 different sizes, so you can't mix them up. The new fuel pump should have them too. I'm going to take a look at it when we get going here with the new pump, but yeah, just be careful with that. And then again, you guys can see there's actually a 4th tab on the back of this, so just be careful. It's kind of a bit of a pain. It'd be nice if you can like have someone help you to do 2 and then you do 2 type of thing. So before we go ahead here and remove this part too as well, we got to make sure that we take off this little hose So this is a supply hose from the fuel pump itself. And then, yeah, again, guys, make sure you guys have some spare hose clamps, because I just murdered this one, which is fine. And then now, yeah, we're gonna have to pull this off again, guys. There's probably some sort of vacuum lock that's on there, as well as I think there's some fluid in there, so just be very careful when you do it. You don't spray yourself or any of that stuff, so just be careful. So I did end up just cutting it a little bit, because as you guys can see, there's our new hose and our new pump. So we did go ahead and open up the box. I was going to show you guys when I was ready to do it, but I just want to make sure. So I have a brand new hose with some clamps and stuff, which helps. So now we can pull this guy off. I just did a little bit of a slit right there. I didn't go too crazy. Just be careful, guys, because you know, I mean, in the worst case scenario, I can reuse this pump, or I can resell it, or I can just have it for something else that I might need in the future. But we're ready to pull this off here. There we go. Okay, guys, so there's at least the supply line is off now, and now we're working on getting this guy all the way off, which it should. There we go, guys. So again, you be careful when you're doing it. You can see all the fuel that's still sitting here. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to go dump this in like a jerry can. I can use it for my lawnmower or something like that, and you can kind of see some of the dirt that's on the bottom of it. And then, yeah, we have our fuel pump. We can go ahead and kind of pull it out. You have to be careful. There's like an O-ring. There we go. At the bottom. Go, guys. So there's our stock fuel pump. Oh, I just got gas all over my hands. But yeah, there's our stock fuel pump. Obviously it's still in really good shape, so again, I can probably sell it, do something like that with it, but I'm going to put it probably in this box behind me, in the DW box, and that way it's in a safe place. But for now, I'm just going to put it off to the side. Moving on to the new fuel pump, guys. Here it is right here again. So this is the DW or Deatschwerks, I don't know, please don't judge me, guys. 2021, let's go. 65V, there's your part number on it, as you guys can see. And then it comes with some instructions, or maybe that's the part number. So just taking a look at the old pump, you guys can see, whoops, where everything is here. And then we have our O-rings, which are going to be replaced. We got our sticker as always, but that don't make me faster. And then what do we got kicking around in here? Okay, just like kind of what the pump's all about and kind of some data on it. So all right, let's get the pump open. So here it is right here, guys. We got our pump, and then it has like a little cap on, I think, yeah, right there. And again, you can see it's got all the right connections for everything. And then down at the bottom here, we got our pickup and all that stuff. So there's an important thing here that you guys have to read, saying that the proper location for the lower O-ring is below the lip and leaves the rectangular port exposed. So you see this little rectangular port, that's got to be left open. So we're going to be putting, yeah, the ring in there, and then we have our bottom one as well inside our little reservoir. Now we got all of our O-rings installed, so you can see the one that's on the top. Again, guys, you'll see one, so there's two O-rings that came off. You'll see one in there, so that's the top of our little cover. So just make sure you guys remove it before you install the new one. You don't want to double up because the seal could get kind of messed up doing that. So again, make sure you guys remove them, and then you have your larger one on the bottom. And then if you look on the inside of this guy, see that right there? Whoops, sorry guys, kind of hard to see, but there you go. You can kind of see the little guy. So it comes with 3 O-rings, one on the top like that, and then you got your one on the bottom. Make sure you guys leave your rectangle open, and then you have your little guy in there, which I kind of have to fix up. And then if you guys see that little hole, and you guys see kind of like the little tiny port that comes off from the bottom there, that is where that hole is going to go, which will help you align your fuel pump to where it has to be. And then I will take care of at least the bottom portion of our pump, and then we can make our way over to putting in our new line and then putting our electrical connections back on. Alright guys, so we got the new pump in place here now with the alignment tab. Hopefully everything works out okay. If not, that's going to be an expensive fix, but I do have a spare pump if it doesn't. But moving on again, so we're going to move this line right here. Don't mess around with this one, guys, because this is your return line. You don't have to change that. It's not going to affect anything. It just returns the fuel back inside of here, which is pretty good and fuel efficient, and it kind of helps with your pump. But anyways, yeah, so we're going to take this line off again with these clamps right here. You're going to kind of just pry it open, and then you can probably cut it, but just be very careful. You don't want to break the tab or the port that's underneath there. And then we got our new guy right here for the pump. And then, yeah, they sent me these guys right here, which, you know what, I'm just going to use them. I don't like using them, but I'm going to use them regardless. And there's some different sizes here. I think if it was different, oh, never mind, they're all the same size. So alright guys, so now that we have the pump in, you can see that we've gone ahead and put our new line on. So we got the new line on here, and then what we're going to do now is we are going to put this top piece in first, and then we're going to attach our black line as well as our two power units here, our two power lines, or I guess you can say one is obviously the ground, one's the positive. But again, make sure you guys have your O-ring on right there. That way it has a nice seal for this little cover as well. You want to make sure that all these seals are good. You don't get any air where it doesn't need to be, or any sort of like percolation. You want a nice tight seal so this thing can suck and feed your power to your motor. So making our way here, guys. Again, everything's locked in. Kind of have everything kind of oriented. I think the best it's gonna get, really. Honestly, I think that's the best way it's going to work. There's only one way really for that port on the pump to work with the line without it getting in the way of everything. So hopefully that's the way it goes. It looks like it is. And then we have our two power lines, the negative and the yellow being our power. And then again, guys, you cannot mess these up because they're both different sizes, as you guys can see, and these are both different sizes. But yeah, we're getting there. I just gotta tighten this clamp up here again with my side cutters, and then we can put our two power lines on, and then we can put our T20 Torx on the rear of it, and then we'll be ready to re-drop this back into the tank. Nice. So there's our power and our negative, and then we have both our supply line right here, the black one, and the kind of orangey one right here. Looks like a fishing lure. Our return line ready to go. Everything's nice and tight as far as these clips, so hopefully all those gaskets should be sealing. We're gonna find out the hard way, guys. When I do the tune, I might leave this back seat out. That way, if they gotta look at it and take and fix it up, whatever, they can do it. But yeah, and then now we're ready to put our T20s back into the rear here for our float. All right, guys, so we're back in the car now, as you guys can see. So we get the brand new whatever DW Deatschwerks 630cc. That is our injectors, but I think this is, yeah, like I said earlier, 265 I think liters per hour, sorry. I'll have to double check. Anyways, so it's installed finally into our pump, or our pump housing, I guess you can say. But yeah, let's get this baby back in. So as you can see here, we got our cover still on here. We're going to take that off and then toss this back in, and then we're going to remember where we put our marks, and that will help us line up our little tab right there. And then we will grab our ring and then make sure that's super tight. So right now I have this thing fully sealed. I just got to put the ring on, and again, guys, you're gonna have to like kind of maneuver it. Just be careful with your lines again. But yeah, it's just like that rubber ring. There's like a small, or I shouldn't say small, but there's a rubber ring that goes around the actual unit itself, which is there to seal everything. You just have to make sure that it sits in there properly. And then you guys can see right here, there's our arrow with our line. That's the way it was when we took it out, so it should work okay. But I'm gonna try to get this ring on, hopefully get it as tight as I can, seal it right up, put our lines on, and voila, we at least did the fuel pump today, which is a good thing. Ooh. Okay, guys, there we go. So yeah, we're gonna put our lines on, and again, we remember from when we took everything off, the blue one, your return line closest to the front of the car, and the black one, the supply line, towards the back, and we have them marked right there. So again, just gonna push these down. I should probably clean this up too, but it's okay, it's not a big deal. There you go. So it just clicks right in, a lot easier than taking them off. Right there, just give everything a nice little tug on that just to make sure. And then of course we got our wire connections for everything. Click that back in. There we go. Yes guys, there we go. That's our fuel pump, our aftermarket fuel pump that we're going to be running on our stage 2 tune installed. Yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pack it in for the night, and I'm going to do the injectors tomorrow. So definitely new fuel pump, bigger fuel pump. Make sure you guys have the right fuel, the highest octane you can get. It gives you a lot of flexibility. So there's your first step right there. Our next step, again guys, is going to the bigger injectors, which we're going to do with the next clip, and the spark plugs. We're not going to change them because I already did them a couple of weeks ago, but at least you guys can see them.